Welcome to Trigger the Truth with attorney Jason Guida, where we unravel the ins and outs of Massachusetts firearms law.
Hello, and welcome to Trigger the Truth with attorney Jason A. Guida. Jason is a Massachusetts firearms attorney and the leading authority on firearm laws and regulations in the Commonwealth. He is a former director of the Massachusetts Firearms Records Bureau and has extensive experience handling firearms licensing, firearm rights restoration, and firearm-related criminal matters throughout Massachusetts. I'm Leanne Lyon, and today we are talking about Jason's rebranded firm, Second Amendment Legal, and what sets the firm apart for people dealing with firearms law issues in Massachusetts. Hello, Jason.
Hey, good afternoon, Leanne. Thanks for having me.
It's great to see you. Jason, what led to the decision to rebrand your practice as the Second Amendment Legal at this point?
I've been a sole practitioner for over 15 years, focusing on firearms laws, firearms rights restoration, criminal practice related to firearms law. And I recognized, particularly after the new firearms law, which was passed in 2024, that there is a significant need in Massachusetts for reliable, competent, experienced representation in this field. Second Amendment Legal is a firm that is growing in size with the goal of addressing this significant need.
Excellent. Well, how does the name Second Amendment Legal reflect the type of work the firm is really focused on today?
Sure. As always, my firm is focused on firearms rights and firearms rights representation. However, what we've done is associated ourselves with attorneys who are Second Amendment friendly, but can represent people in other fields. For example, real estate transactions, probate matters, wills and trusts, divorces, and even we have an attorney who specializes in traffic citations and motor vehicle citations. So we're expanding our representation to those particular areas uh, while still focusing on firearms owners and Second Amendment friendly legal advice.
Perfect. What kinds of firearms related matters does the firm handle most often across Massachusetts?
Our main focus, and has been for many years, is firearms licensing issues, whether it's restoration of rights, and that can mean representation before the Firearms Licensing Review Board, which has the ability to restore rights after an old misdemeanor conviction, or it could mean going back into court and trying to reopen an old case. It could mean an expungement, trying to get forgiveness after a certain amount of time. We also represent individuals who've been denied a firearms license due to what is called the suitable person standard. So, after someone has been denied due to their conduct, you have an opportunity to be heard to overturn that denial. We help people who've been denied a purchase, typically called a NICS denial. We do those appeals, as well as helping people get what's called a U PIN, which is a PIN number that helps you avoid those types of denials in the future. We represent gun dealers, well over 40 dealers and manufacturers throughout the Commonwealth, largely on compliance issues as well as ATF investigations. And a big part of our practice, and continues to be a big part of our practice, is representation in criminal matters related to violations of our gun laws. Anyone who's a firearms owner in Massachusetts knows that our firearms laws are extremely complex, very easy to run afoul. And much of our representation is helping people throughout the Commonwealth address these issues. We also do a good deal of self defense work as well. And we're very proud of our association with USCCA, the United States Concealed Carry Association, which is a self defense insurance firm. We serve as an emergency attorney who's on call 24 hours a day for a self defense type emergency. Finally, a big part of our practice, particularly in recent years, is the restoration of firearms rights after a commitment, whether it's for mental health issues or substance abuse issues. We help people petition the court, get their rights back, and then be able to obtain a firearm, whether they live in another state or in Massachusetts.
Well, there seem to be a lot of attorneys on social media these days advertising themselves as firearms attorneys. What sets your firm apart from these others?
Yeah, simple. It's experience, honesty, and integrity. Uh, no other attorney in the Commonwealth practicing in this area has my background and experience. As you mentioned at the outset, I served as the director of the Massachusetts Firearms Records Bureau. I had direct oversight over firearms licensing throughout the state. I know how decisions are made, and quite frankly, many of the people who make those decisions. Honesty and integrity is a huge part of my firm. There are many situations where someone will come to my firm and explain their situation, and looking at it, I know immediately it's not likely that we're going to be able to fix the problem right now, or in the immediate future. And oftentimes we will have a conversation that really goes towards that specific point, that right now, unfortunately, there's not a way to fix the issue that you're dealing with. Perhaps you have to wait some time, perhaps you have to take some additional steps. Most people who call my firm appreciate that. Look, being very honest with you, legal fees are expensive. Attorneys don't work for free. And it's important, to me, whether it's, $1 or $1,000, that that person is getting the services that they're asking for and getting the best representation they can get. And if I have to say no, I can't help you, I will say no, I can't help you. You see these fancy social media ads, you see, little gimmicks and AI, that costs money. The attorney's firm is paying for that. And as a result, they're going to have to take cases that maybe they're not going to get good results on to pay for those kind of gimmicks. There's no gimmicks here. You're going to get honest legal advice. And if I can help you, I'll help you. And if I can't help you, I'll be very honest with you and tell you I can't.
Wow, that is refreshing, 100%. How does your background working inside Massachusetts firearms regulations shape how you approach cases differently from other attorneys?
I know how decisions are made. I know the people, many of the people who are making those decisions. I know how the records are made. I know what information is being relied on to make certain decisions on licensing. I was a decision maker myself. I made many decisions regarding firearms licensure, whether someone's eligible or not, whether they're suitable or not. So I know the process and the thought process that goes into making these decisions, and that I can use to my client's advantage.
Perfect. Well, when somebody is dealing with a firearms licensing or rights issues, what are they usually underestimating about the process or the stakes that are involved?
Right. I think people really underestimate how stacked the system is against them when it comes to firearms issues and firearms rights. We have kind of a saying in my firm, because it's guns. And what we mean by that, it's kind of our response whenever a bad decision comes out, or whenever a client is, facing a bail argument from a prosecutor after a very minor situation, or whether it's a suspension or revocation of a license, again, after a very minor situation. There is a heightened sensitivity to firearms issues in Massachusetts. It's frankly a cultural issue in this particular state. And government, whether it's The executive branch, the judiciary, or certainly the legislature seem to be very much aligned in making it difficult to exercise the Second Amendment right here in the Commonwealth. So I think people underestimate how difficult it is to overcome those hurdles and actually be heard and actually be listened to. That's what my firm is able to do. My experience allows me to present a case and to touch on the points that I know that a judge is going to consider, that a decision maker, a chief is going to consider. Help my client overcome those hurdles. That's, I think, the important thing that people need to recognize.
I really appreciate that phrase. It's probably very true. I think there's another phrase out there. Well, it's one lawyer, another lawyer. It doesn't really matter. But what should people understand about the difference between a general criminal defense experience and focused firearms law experience in Massachusetts?
Oftentimes in my practice, I encounter a potential client who had a experienced criminal defense attorney help them in a criminal case or revisiting an old criminal case. And oftentimes they come to me and they want me to help them with their licensing issue. Unfortunately, the prior attorney didn't have that experience, didn't know about firearms licensing in particular. That prior attorney may not have known that there's a time limit that you need to meet in order to seek review of your license suspension. The other attorney may not have known that there's a process to get your record repaired if you go back into court and try to overturn an older conviction. Those are the things that we know specifically, that I know specifically, where those issues can be addressed, who fixes those records, how long you have to file your petition, how to stay your case, and allow the criminal process to play out and still have a chance to address your firearms licensing issue at the end.
Well, as we wrap up today, for somebody that's deciding whether to move forward with legal representation, what matters the most when choosing a firearms attorney in Massachusetts?
Again, it is experience, honesty, and integrity. When you're talking to an attorney that tells you that they work on firearms related matters, find out what that actually means. How many firearms licensing cases have they handled? Have they been doing it for well over 20 years? How many times have they restored someone's firearms rights? Where do they practice? How often do they do it? That's important. Understanding how the law works. This is a very technical area. You wouldn't hire a plumber to do your electrical work in your house. You don't hire an auto mechanic to fix your sink. This is a very particular area of law, and you should hire someone who's been doing this type of work for a very long time. Honesty and integrity, again, is a core part of my firm. I'm not going to take every case. I'm selective with the cases that I take. I take cases where I think I can help someone, where I can get good results. I believe that people work hard for their money. When they pay a lawyer, they expect results. We're not going to take a case if we don't think we can get good results for that client. I don't know that every other lawyer follows that credo.
Well, that's it for today's episode of Trigger the Truth. If you'd like to learn more about Second Amendment legal or speak with attorney Jason Guida about a firearms-related matter in Massachusetts, visit secondamendmentlegal.com or contact his office directly at 617-383-4652. Thanks for listening, and remember to like, subscribe to the show, and leave a review if you found this episode helpful. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.